Hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. How are you today? Let me know if you are hopping on. Give me a comment, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from and what the beautiful weather is like near you. Hopefully it's beautiful weather. Here in Iowa, we have been enjoying a great fall so far. It has been so nice. Today is supposed to be one of our warmest days at, I think, 80 degrees we're supposed to get today. So yes, super excited about that. Hello, Betty. Good to see you here this morning. Awesome. Well, I am super excited. Hello from Michigan. Hi, Sherry. Oh, glad you could be here, even though you missed the last couple of lives. Good, good. Well, we are in full fall busyness around here, both personally with my kids and their activities, and also just at Tailored Expressions as we get prepared for our move. So we are in the last probably month of preparations to move into our new space. We're hoping that's going to happen at the end of October, early November. Of course, it's going to take us some time to get everything moved over, but we are in the middle of that. And also we have been preparing for our in-person Stamp Joy event. So give me a shout out if you are planning to be at Stamp Joy this weekend. Maybe you're going to be driving or flying in tomorrow, Thursday. I know lots of people that are coming in a little bit early on Wednesday, get acclimated, and then have Thursday to enjoy, and then the event starts on Friday. So, Perry, you're packing your bags today. Awesome. Yes, I am so excited to see everyone. I'm also curious how many of you joined me for the Crop and Create class over the weekend. So did you attend the Crop and Create event? It was absolutely amazing. If you were an attendee, then you know that already. We had such a great time crafting with so many amazing teachers. So Gina Kay was there, and Christina Werner, Jennifer McGuire did an amazing video, and then lots of other teachers as well. So we had a great time, and I think lots of you were there too, because I saw lots of familiar names as well. If you weren't there, then Crop and Create is an event that's put on by Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, and they do this virtual card making event twice a year. So I have been super honored to be asked to join them the last couple of events and teach a class. So yes, that is what the event is, and keep your eye out because they will be opening registration for their spring virtual event, and their fall event will follow that as well. So all kinds of fun events that you guys can enjoy. We have our in-person event like I talked about, and then we also have our Stamp Joy virtual event that will be happening this spring. So we've got dates marked on the calendar, and we will get those put out there pretty soon so you guys can start planning on that, those of you that aren't able to join us in person. So, all right, let's see who else we've got here. Hello, Candy. Hi, Jenny. Dawn's here today. You enjoyed Crop and Create. Oh, thanks, Megan. Yes, we had a great time with the stencil. And Linda was at Crop and Create. Both Lindas, 3 Lindas. Awesome. Hello, Debbie, and Carol's here. You were there this weekend, that's right. Awesome. Well, it was a good time, and today we're going to do a little crafting together. So we actually, our studio is closed, as I said. We get ready for our move, so the studio is officially closed until we reopen in our new building. So if you're local, don't stop by today. We're not open, but that also means that I have extra time to get crafty with you today. I don't have to get off the live for anything, but I think we're gonna make this pretty quick to share some of the things. So over the weekend, as I mentioned, I taught at the Crop and Create event, and everyone at the event received the Tailored Expressions Falling For You stencil. So we did a special World Card Making Day release on Saturday where we released that stencil for others to purchase if they wish, but also some coordinating products. So at the event, we had lots of questions about our coordinating foilet panels and how those work with the stencil. So today we're gonna focus our time on how to combine the foilet pack. It's called Foilet Falling For You, how to combine that with the stencils to create those beautiful foiled accents on your projects. We're also going to be using some of the foil sentiments that were released during our, I guess, our fall release back in August. Feels weird to say fall release back in August, but you know, we work ahead as card makers, so that's when we did our fall release, and those were called Grateful Greetings. So that came in both a stamp and a foilet pack. We'll be using those on the project today. So I'm going to show you some other ideas too. So one of these actually popped across our fan page over the weekend, I believe, or maybe it was just yesterday. I can't keep track of the days anymore. But one of our amazing customers, Angela Myrie, she created a beautiful set of cards in a unique color combination. So I wanted to make sure everybody saw this before we get started. This is that Falling For You stencil. And she used a beautiful pastel color combination with the strawberry milkshake, macaron, and oyster inks. And then that pop of color is the tropical punch. And I love how that turned out. So I wanted to make sure everybody can see the versatility of this stencil and that you can use it in so many different color combinations. So yes, these are fall leaves, but they look gorgeous in lots of colors. So let me show you guys one more thing because we haven't had a chance to talk about this yet. I don't think I've been live for Tailored Expressions since we switched over to our new freebie. So this is our new freebie of the month for October. It's our gift with a purchase of $100 or more, and it is called Shaker Tag. So you can make these adorable shaker tags with these two dies that kind of are designed to work together to do just that, to make a shaker well for all of your fun little shaker bits. I have some samples of the shaker tag that Jill Hawkins created. So she always does such an amazing job using our freebies in creative ways. So I want to show you guys that as you're shopping this month, and the shaker tag will be your freebie. So there's what that looks like. The solid tag would be your base for the shaker, and then the outline tag is the well. So you actually get those two different pieces. You don't have to piece two dies back together. That was one of the things that I really wanted in a shaker tag set, because sometimes you can't always get that inside piece fit back in exactly where it goes, and it just takes longer because you have to run it through your die cut machine twice as many times. So that is the shaker tag set. Let's look at, Jill created 4 different tags with some really fun themes to them. So we have this one that's Halloween. We have our cute little clay candy corns in there. Then we have this one that's kind of just a fun one for any time. You Bling Me Joy. Very fun with the bling inside, of course. Then we have a holiday tag. We have the white clay snowflakes in there. She also cut small little pieces of cardstock using these tiny dies that came in the set as well. There's a moon and stars, there's a heart, star, Christmas tree, and a flower. Now the whole idea behind these, I love what Jill did, but the idea that we sized these for was to actually put it on this tiny tag down in the bottom corner to give it just a little bit of something extra. So you can die cut one of these small shapes from the bottom of that tag and make it a little bit more pizzazzy. And then that small tag can tie on at the top of your large shaker tag, just like you see Jill did here. So very cute options. This one uses the Fall Flurry is the name of that die set that came out on Saturday, or that you received in your Crop and Create package. So lots of fun options with that shaker tag. Oh, the other thing that Jill did not use, but that I thought was kind of fun, is this little half circle. That is designed to fit perfectly over the half circle of the top of the tag, and you could choose to cut that out of a different color cardstock and piece it over the top. So maybe you have a green bottom and a red top for your Christmas tag. So lots and lots of options. All right. Christine, you're waiting on Saturday's orders so you can play. We had a busy weekend with orders, so our gals in the back have been shipping like crazy this week. So if you guys aren't getting quite the quick turnaround that you're normally used to, that's a good thing for us also, because that means we had lots of orders and we are getting to them just as quick as we can. I'm guessing they should be caught up today. So, all right, let's take a look at a few more samples using that beautiful Falling For You stencil. So I'm trying to figure out which ones actually were designed by the same person. Okay, I think I've got it here. So here are the groupings. So Jill Hawkins sent us this set, and you can see that she used, if I can get it to reflect on the light here, you can see she used a beautiful purple foil for the foilet panel. And that's what we're going to talk more about today, is how to line up those foilet panels with this Falling For You stencil. So you can see how that shines, and I never would have thought to use a colored foil, but I just love how that looks with her color combination here. Then Lori Craig, this is a gorgeous color combination. I love the blue in there. I have to ask her what blue that is. It's so unique. Maybe it's a mix of a couple different blues. It looks a little bit like Tropical Punch. You can see Lori also used the foilet panel. Hers is a gold color foil to match the gold drip drops that she included. And then I love what she did with the sentiment on this one. She actually cut the panel down and popped it up with an opening in the center for her sentiment. So that just gives it some fun dimension as well. Oh, do I know when that scalloped frame will be available? Well, Melissa, I didn't know that it wasn't available. This is our mini slim scalloped stacklets, and I would guess we have them on order. We usually watch for those to get low and then get more in stock, so it can't be more than a couple of weeks before those come back in stock, depending on how long they've been out of stock. It could be sooner than that. All right, let's see if I missed any other questions. Oh, thank you guys. It's so nice to hear you enjoyed the class on Saturday. All right, let's talk about this last set. So, oh, thank you. Whitney posted the link for the petite scallop rectangle stacklets in the, well, actually that might be the rectangle ones, Whitney, but we are looking for the mini slim, petite scallop mini slim stacklets. So if you want to post that link, then everybody can sign up for the product notification. If you aren't aware of those, then anytime we run out of stock on a product, you can enter your email address on the product page, and that means you will get an email whenever we put more back into stock. So you'll be the first to know. We don't always talk about all of the restocks in our newsletter, so the best way to know about a specific product is to sign up for the restock notification. So, all right, then we have one last set, and this is one that I made, and these are some of the things we're going to be using today. I wanted to show how you could use some of our previously released sentiments with these fun stencils along with those foilet panels. You can see my gold details are shimmering and shining in the background as well. And then I used the same foil for the sentiment on that Grateful Greetings foilet pack. Okay, thank you. Charlie's got the petite scallop mini slim stacklets, and Whitney's got it up there. So lots of links for you to follow. Awesome. Okay, let's move these out of the way and we'll get started with the foiling. So if you haven't seen this stencil yet, or you didn't get it in your Crop and Create package, it is called the Triple Slim Falling For You. It's a stencil and clear stamp combo. So the clear stamps come with it, and you can add the veining if you wish with the stamp, or as we're going to do today, we're going to use the Triple Slim Falling, or the Mini Slim Falling For You panels. These are pre-printed with toner, and those veins are in exactly the right spot to match up with your stencil layers. You get, let's see, well, I can show you without opening the package. So there are 3 different designs on the stencil, and you receive 4 of each of those designs in the pack. So this is a consumable item. You can't use it over and over. You make a card with it and then you're finished. So you can make 12 cards with this particular pack of foilet panels. All right, so let me grab my Mink here and we're gonna get this turned on. My mini Mink is what I'm using today. I have all the Minks, multiples of all the Minks. We're gonna be doing some foiling at Stamp Joy over the weekend too, so that will be fun. Typically when I am foiling, I will use a heat setting of 4 if I'm using cardstock. The majority of our toner panels are printed onto our sugar cube cardstock. But if you have any that are printed on acetate or something on vellum, I usually do a heat setting of around 2 or maybe even 3. I usually start with 2 and see how that goes. The great thing about the Mink is that it's going to heat up really quickly for us. So you guys saw me turn it on. I didn't ask anybody to start counting, but it's not going to take too long before that light turns green. So let me talk about this. So a lot of you over the weekend were asking questions about foiling because I think, oh, there it goes, it's green. I think because it gets a little bit confusing, there are 2 types of foiling. So there's foiling with a laminator that is toner reactive foiling. And then there's foiling that's called hot foiling. And you do that with a hot foil plate. They are 2 separate, different types of foil. So the foil for hot foiling is not the same foil that you use for toner reactive foiling. So one of the things that I see most often when people are first getting started with foiling is they're using the wrong type of foil for the foiling that they're doing. So at Tailored Expressions, we carry all Deco Foil brand foils, and they are all toner reactive foils. So that means they won't work with your hot foil plates if you have those. The same is true if you have hot foils, they will not work with your toner reactive foil. So just something to keep in mind if you are confused or maybe haven't started foiling yet. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how the 2 are, or that the 2 are different, and you have to have different supplies to achieve the 2 different types of foiling. Now this particular type of foiling with the toner reactive is just super simple. Really all you need to have is, I recommend the Mink or the Mini Mink because of a few different reasons. You're always going to get it to heat up really quickly and very hot. The laminator, if you're using a laminator, it is a heat source that you can use, but it doesn't heat up quite as quickly, and you often have to leave it on maybe a half an hour or more in order to get it hot, and even then you might get spotty results. But some foil machine or some laminators are better than others. I don't know the brands to talk about because I just love my Mink so much that we just get along and keep going in this direction. So, okay, this then is a piece of foil. You can see it is shiny on top and dull on the other side. One thing to remember when you're doing toner reactive foiling is you always want your shiny side up. So I'm going to place that over the top of the toner printed panel, and this is where it just gets super simple. I have a carrier sheet. This clear sheet comes with your Mink, but if you lose it or damage it, you can replace it at any time with just a piece of parchment paper from your kitchen that you cut and fold into a folder. Then I have a piece of cardstock on the bottom for stability and a little bit of extra pressure as I go through my machine. I wouldn't put more than one piece of 100-pound cardstock underneath, or even a piece of just regular text weight computer paper folded in half should give you a little bit more stability. So now I put that into the Mink with the folded part of the folder going in first. Always try to get it in there very straight. I almost always hold it with 2 hands as I'm allowing it to feed in there. If you get it crooked at all, the machine will still take it, but then it will get jammed in there. If your machine ever jams, it does have a reverse button on the side here. Here it is. There's my reverse button if I want to try to get it to come back the other direction. Okay. Oh, some of you missed that foil it panel. Yes, there's always next time, right? And Megan's asking, oh, I hope the Mini Mink will be at Stamp Joy. It will be, yes. Okay, so foil peels are one of my favorite things to do. And I love just peeling it back and watching the design appear in that shiny gold or whatever color you used. You can see it reflecting off of the light. We didn't do anything special today. That was it. You just put the piece of foil on top, push it through your machine, and voila. you have this gorgeous piece of foiled paper. Now we're gonna do the sentiments since I've got my Mink all heated up here. This is how our sentiment panels typically come, with multiple sentiments on the panel. And then we do have dies that coordinate with these sets as well, because we also offer them as a stamp set. So you can choose if you like the stamp set and you want to do embossing and then die cut, you can do that. Or if you like the foil panels, or maybe you like both options. So again, we're going to do shiny side up on the foil. Place that down. And then we're going to feed that through the mini Mink. Foilet peels are really cool. I know today we're not doing anything with the leftover foil. This particular design, you could place it down onto another piece of, you could place it down onto a sticky sheet. You could put it onto a piece of toner panel, and then all of the portions that are currently white would be the black toner. So that's one of my favorite things. It's like the foil piece just keeps on giving and giving. Some patterns are better than others. Obviously, sentiments aren't great. Depends on how much you want to use those extra pieces. You can always find a way. There are some that I keep and some that I don't. Okay, so let's peel this guy off. This one's going to be a little bit more wowsy because you can see that foil. There it is. So pretty. It just makes your cards look so much more, I feel, professional or stepped up a bit than, I think it makes your recipients wonder, like, how do they do that? Look at how cool that is. So yes, we have our sentiments done and we have our foilet panel done. I'm going to turn off my machine. So right now I'm only going to do one of the panels with the stencils with you. If I were doing multiple of the panels, the way that I would achieve that would be to tape them together behind my stencil, and then you can do all three at the same time. But I'm just going to show you, let's say you want to make one card with your foilet panel. I have one of the layers of the stencil. This is layer number 1, and I'm going to place my piece of cardstock down, my pre-foiled piece. One of the things that I did not talk about was that I always recommend foiling first. I've never had any problem with the foil rubbing off, but I have seen where you can have a heavy hand if you don't foil first and you ink first with a heavy hand, then the ink formulation is soaking into the toner print, and that can affect how your panel looks once you do foil it. Okay, I think I've got that. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here so you can see. Okay, so down here at the bottom, hopefully you can see this etched guideline around the outside of the stencil is what I have matched up my panel to. And then I'm going to tape it down, a little bit of washi tape. I have to start sneaking out a fun little tidbit. So we have some tape coming that I have been working on for a very long time, and we have some tape that is coming that's going to help you with your stencil taping. It also works for taping down your dies, and it should be here soon. So I'm just trying to get by with my washi tape before my amazing tape arrives, and I can't wait to share it all with all of you. Okay, so we're going to start with some orange on this particular layer. I'm going to start with candy corn. Loretta said, does the foil get scratched up when you're stenciling? And no, it does not. So that's great plus. All right, so we've got candy corn that we're starting here. I've got a few different oranges that I'm going to experiment with today. I brought candy corn, I brought sweet potato pie, and pumpkin. So that would be all of the oranges except peaches and cream, which is our pastel orange, and maybe not the best selection for this particular combo that I'm going with. All right, I'm going to grab my little bitty blender brush, and we're going to switch out to sweet potato pie, which is just a little bit darker orange. And I'm going to come in towards the bottom of these leaves and add a little bit of dimension. You can start to see those foil details popping out. Oh, thanks, April. I hope you get lots of uses out of this, for sure. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Whitney's here. When she walks in, I think, is the internet out? That's my automatic thought. Okay, so pumpkin next. I'm going to stick with that same bitty blender brush, and I'm going to do some of these berries in a little bit darker pumpkin color. The pumpkin has a little bit more red in it than the other two oranges. So that can get us some added depth and dimension by using multiple different shades of the same color, or even using the same color and just varying how light-handed or heavy-handed your blending is. Do you think you could grab me Post-it labeling tape? Okay. All right, so that is the first layer of the stencil. I almost made the mistake you should never make. I forgot to mark my little alignment squares. So this is what's going to help me line up that next layer. And it's fairly easy to line up actually without marking the squares. The squares for me are just sort of like another extra measure to make sure that you have it in the right spot or to get you started. And then you can always wiggle from there if you find that your foil printed details need to be in a little bit different spot. You can always wiggle the stencil as well. So this will just get me started to place the next stencil layer over the top. Now, if you haven't seen before, our stencils are labeled in the bottom right corner. They're etched with the item number, and then it says -1234 on it. Depending on the stencil, it doesn't always make a huge difference what stencil layer you start with. For example, this stencil doesn't make a huge difference if you were to start with layer 2 instead of layer 1. Some of them we do go through and say, okay, it's probably going to be easiest if you start with this one, end with this one. So if you just want to go in the order that we have assigned, then you know that we've thought about that. Okay, so on this particular layer, I'm going to do raspberry sorbet. We're going to try this. I'm not sure. I think I want to go with my red blender brush. This is a little bit dark for my super pastel-y pink brush. And I use a lot of lollipop. So my hot pink brush is very lollipop-y. And I don't want to have to wash it.
Lollipop-y.
I
like that word.
I just make up words sometimes, you know. Beth doesn't have the pumpkin ink pad. Well, now's the perfect time of year to change that with Halloween and fall. Okay, I'm going a little slightly heavier handed on this layer. And then when we get to the next layer, I'm going to do a light-handed mulled wine. Or not mulled wine, raspberry sorbet. That's what I'm trying to say. A light hand will give me more of that pink tone than the red. All right. Take that layer off, and then we've got two more. It's a 4-layer stencil. Bonnie loves my word lollipoppy. All right. The other thing to remember when you're doing this is that you have your stencil right side up. So we had some people that have turned the stencil over and then, oh, it doesn't match up. And if you are not marking those alignment squares, that's harder to tell. If you're marking the alignment squares, you'll definitely see if your stencil is not lined up. All right, I'm going to shift it just a teeny tiny. And we'll get that washi tape down again. Okay, so on this layer, if I go in and show you a little bit closer, this layer includes the bottoms of the acorns. And so those are going to be toffee. And you may want to grab a piece of masking paper so that you can kind of move it around as you're blending to make sure that you don't get your ink on the spots where you don't want toffee. Actually, I want my little brush for this. Sometimes you need it and sometimes you don't, but also depends on if you're more of a wing it type of a person, or if you really like precision, then you'll probably want to use the little piece of mask. All right. So do you guys usually make cards for Thanksgiving? Do you send out Happy Thanksgiving cards? Or do you tend more towards the fall sentiments like the Grateful for You? We have lots of options in our fall set, from the With Gratitude to the Happy Thanksgiving, Give Thanks. Monica asks, is the mini mink a good size for card makers? Yes, it's a great size. It's actually perfect for card makers. This little carrier sheet that we used earlier it measures 6 by 6. So even mini slim card panels will fit in there, in that carrier sheet. There are a couple of reasons why I do like the big mink as well. Mass producing is one of them. You can put more than one panel through at a time. But I think for the price and the storage space that it's a lot smaller, the mini mink is, than the big one. So I think for those reasons, I appreciate the mini mink. It takes up less space on my countertop where I'm crafting, and it's less expensive, and it's perfectly sized. So, okay, we're gonna go with, I talked about using that raspberry sorbet in a light hand this time. So we're gonna get out my masking paper again so that I can mask off these brown areas. And this time I am gonna use my pink blending brush so that I can remind myself, light hand, light hand. We're going to do the berries in a darker color after this. Okay. I can't wait to see this one. I know. I
love it.
I got a little bit of this color inspiration from Emily Midlowski on our design team. So she is a pro at using raspberry sorbet in all kinds of unique ways. And with her Falling For You cards, she combined raspberry sorbet with, I believe it was sweet potato pie. And then she did rose gold accents. So she had rose gold cardstock that she cut the leaf dies out of, which I thought was really fun. And if you're looking for a unique combo, definitely go to Emily Midlowski's blog because she's always doing something unique and fantastical.
Another
great word. Yep, I was just going to say that. Fantastical. All right, so this is pumpkin here that I'm doing these little berry dots with. Trying to keep away from the open areas of the little pink leaves that we just did. Now you could add in just a little bit of orange down at the base of the leaves to give them a little bit different look. We're going to try that here. Just crafting on the fly. It's just paper, right?
It reminds me of that. Who was that painter that used to say, happy trees?
Bob Ross?
Yes!
We're just going to put a happy little tree over here.
I loved him.
Happy little orange dots over here. All right.
Woo!
Oh, we're getting there. Now we just have the last layer, which is actually the easiest layer. It is the tops of the acorns, and then I gotta put my little washi tapes down here. And then the little branches that connect the leafy portions and the berries. So this one's pretty important to get in the right spot. You want those acorn tops to fall on top of the acorn bottoms. So if you need to shift it a little bit from what your little alignment squares are telling you, then do that, because you'd rather have that lined up than your alignment squares. Oops, I shifted that while I was trying to tape it. Okay, here we go. All right, so those of you who already have your stencil from the event, I cannot wait to see more projects that you're going to create with it. Post them on our fan page. You never know, I might find it and want to show it on the live like I did with Angela today. I messaged her on Facebook this morning. I was making a last minute decision, like I really want people to see that. So she gave me permission, and so I'm always watching the fan page. Okay, so this is mocha ink. And we're going to do the entire stencil with that. Sometimes when you have those smaller openings on the stencil, it's really important to go both clockwise and counterclockwise with your blending motion. Otherwise, you're going to find it doesn't fill in those tiny spaces quite as well in just one direction. Okay, are we ready for the big reveal? Eee! I know, this is the best part. The foil peels and the stencil peels. We should start calling these stencil peels because the final layer of the stencil is like the best part. You see the whole pattern come together, all of your hard work. Your blending arm hurts a lot less when you see the beautiful results that you got from your stencil. Yay, look at those shiny details. Loving this color combination. I really do kind of like how we added that little bit of orange at the bottom of those pink leaves. And with just a few colors, we were able to get a lot of different dimension by going light-handed, heavy-handed, and doing a couple shades in that orange color. So there it is. Did we get a ba-bam today? Somebody asked the other color of the acorn. So the acorn bottoms are toffee and the acorn tops are mocha. Really loving that mocha color this holiday for fall cards. I was going to see if I could pull in some of the other ones that I used the mocha on. So I'm pretty sure this also is mocha and toffee. This one is chocolate truffle. So you can see a little bit different. It's easier to see in person than it is probably on the video. And then Jill used mushroom. That's mushroom for the top of her acorn lids. We had to think about that the other day when we were saying, what is the top of an acorn called? It's called a lid, right?
Top of an acorn.
I know. For a while there, we decided to call it just a top of an acorn, but I think it's the acorn lid. Okay, so we have our all over pattern, and oftentimes when I create an all over pattern, I don't want to cover it up. So there are some different directions you can go when you are finishing off an all over pattern. One of them, of course, is a strip, a cardstock strip, like one of our simple strips. But another option would be to set your sentiment off with a vellum piece. So that could be a vellum strip that comes across the bottom of your card. It could be, like what I have here, a vellum circle. And when you pop that up, you can still vaguely see the pattern underneath it. So you don't lose the pattern the way you would if you just used a white circle. So I am going to use the vellum circle popped up over that pattern. We need to go ahead and die cut one of the sentiments that we foiled earlier. So I'm going to grab the coordinating dies. I think I'm going to use, maybe I'll do give thanks on this one. I think I'll do that give thanks, but I might as well just go ahead and cut all of these out, right? I was kind of thinking, I don't know, I get these wild hairs, like I'm going to have all this time, but I still really want to try to get some swap cards done for the Stamp Joy event this weekend. And I thought these could work.
Yes.
I'm looking at Whitney like I need her to give me permission to do that today. Because, you know, there's nothing else that needs to be done before Stamp Joy.
No.
Nothing.
Just hanging out.
Just, you know, pack a giant truck with 18 pallets worth of products and things and class materials and... All right.
I can't wait.
I know.
It's my first time, so I feel all the nervous butterflies. Eek!
It's my 8th time.
So you have no nervous butterflies?
Oh, I still get nervous. You know that. I am not, I know people probably, unless you've heard me say this before, I am not an on-stage type of a person. I love doing the lives, and I don't think about the people that are watching, but when I can see them standing in or sitting in front of me, that's a different story. Okay.
I think most people get nervous talking in front of others.
Do you guys leave a comment. I'm curious now. If you were to speak in front of a group of, let's say, 250 people, would that make you nervous, or would you, like a live group, not an online group, a live group? The one nice thing about our venue that we're going to be at the Iowa Event Center this weekend is they have stage lights. I am probably no surprise to anyone, not a performer, so I have never been like in front of stage lights before. And last year I got up on the stage. It was our first time at this venue, and I couldn't see anyone. And it was kind of great. It was like all I saw was really blinding lights in my face. And so
Took those nerves away.
it made it a little easier. No, I wouldn't say it took the nerves away, but oh, okay. I feel like I'm in decent company. Everybody says that would make them nervous, so if you're coming this weekend and you see me up there, then just know it's not my most comfortable place to be. Okay. I always like to tell people how I was so afraid to take speech class in college that I took it in the summer from a different college in a different state where I didn't know anyone. I mean, it was one of those you had to take it classes, so I couldn't just not take it. All right. That is true. Cindy says if I knew what I was talking about and passionate about it, I wouldn't get as wouldn't be as nervous. And that is true. I will say that. If I had to get up there and talk about retirement plans or something like that, that would be
worse.
That would be horrible because I don't know much about that. Okay, so we have different sentiments to choose from now, and I've got my vellum circle. I said I wanted to use give thanks, so let's see what that looks like over the top of that circle. The other one that I used on my other card, the thing that I kind of like is when the sentiment hangs over the vellum circle just a little bit. So I might move back to one of the longer ones. I have grateful for you, or I have with gratitude. I think I'm going to go with the with gratitude. So we are going to adhere this to the vellum first, and then we'll hide our foam behind it to pop it up. All right. Oh, Kim, you're a teacher. Oh, I'm sorry about your pinched nerve. Yes, you teachers, you can speak in front of kids all day long. Kids are a little bit different. Okay, now we're going to do our foam tape. I've got some foam squares here that I will cut apart. Now, the other thing that is in short supply around here the last few days, particularly as we get all the last things packed for the event, scissors. So this is my last pair, Whitney tells me, the only pair of scissors that is not packed in a bin or tub to go to the event center.
You know, you think you have so many of them, and then you start.
And then you start putting them in bins. Yeah, and they go away real quickly. So I guess now would be, since we've talked a lot about the event, now would be a good time to let everyone know that we will not have a live on Thursday this week. So Heather and Susan and I will all be down at the event center getting ready, setting up for the event and the classes. So please mark your calendar. If you see anybody confused and wondering where the live is, then fill your friends in that we will not be live on Thursday, but I will be live next week, Tuesday, with some very exciting news.
I know, so many things.
I had to think in my head, like, wait, what is the next week? And yes, those of you that are at Stamp Joy are going to get an early peek at what's coming the following week, and it's some big news. Okay. I was going to have Whitney go get my tweezers so that I could better center this, but then I remembered we probably don't have any of those either, so...
Sorry.
All right, there it is. I love how that turned out. I think I'm going to finish it off with a few of our bits and pieces, gold drip drops. You can see how much I like to use those because they're almost gone. We do have full bottles available for purchase, obviously. We don't sell them like this. One thing you might have noticed as we've added more bits and pieces to our collection is they now come with a white cap. Yes, I like the silver cap, but it became unavailable, and so in order to keep our bottle style the same, we had to just change up the cap on it. So you may have noticed that if you've bought any new ones recently, but we do still have some stock with the previously available silver lids on them. All right. Get in a little bit closer here. They're encouraging me to spill it, but I'm not gonna spill that.
It's too big.
Nope. Gonna have to tune in for that. Okay, put a few dots of glue. The trick to doing it this way is to not lose track of where you've put a dot of glue, because then you could have a sticky mess on your hands later. Got my little embelly jelly tool.
How do you choose how many you put on there?
That's a great question, Whitney. So usually, well, in this case, I have chosen to follow the dot pattern of the background, like the little berries. But typically when you're putting on embellishments like this, there's what's called the rule of odds. And you typically try to gather them in odd numbers, because odd is more pleasing to the eye than even. And I am all out of little guys. Maybe I see one here.
I feel like I either put way too much on there or I put like not enough.
It is a little bit, I think crafters who are very experienced would say that it is not an easy thing to do. So I think when I taught this weekend and we had little dots to put on, I said, why don't we all just follow this example that I've already done? Because you can fuss with your drip drops and your dots for stupid amounts of time. Like the card is done, but also it took me an extra hour to decide where I wanted my drops. I missed a couple little, that's why I like the dots here that are already part of the stencil, because they're already placed around the background in an eye-pleasing way, so I don't have to think too much about messing that up. You could also put some on the actual panel here with the vellum panel. Those, before I decide that, I might want to lay them over the top and see what that looks like. That might be just a little bit too much. I like them in the background. Then we're also not getting an extra layer of dimension above the popped up sentiment. So we're gonna take those off. All right, I'll hold this up and you guys can get one more close up look at that. Uh-oh, I rubbed one off, didn't I? That little guy up here. Okay, now all we have to do is put it onto a card base. And I've made a giant mess with my drip drops. I hope this bottle was for me to use, because I used it. So it is now mine, although half of them are going to have to go back in here. I keep thinking about all these new things we have coming that I want to share with people as I do things, like putting them back in here. I'm like, oh, but that thing that I can't talk about yet. Okay, so my card base is a sweet potato pie mini slim card base. So when you cut your card bases, they measure 6 by 7 and they're scored at 3.5 on that 7-inch side. So you have a 3.5 by 6-inch folded card base. I'm going to use my 1 by 3 foam square or strips on this project. And you can see, you guys, I don't have a full roll here to show you, but mine's almost gone. I use this adhesive all the time. It's been one of my favorite things that we've added to the store recently. They're easy to peel off and stick down. They fit perfectly across a mini slim panel. They still fit nicely on an A2 panel, but you can see here how nicely they fit on that mini slim size. Just gives you that nice sturdy dimension for your project. No sagging middles. We don't want saggy middles. Too much bling, is there such a thing? Depends on who you ask. Jamie would say no, more is more. All right. Gotta get my head right over the top of that to make sure that I get it centered on the card base, but gosh, that is just so pretty. Love that color combination. I want to do more of those. Super pretty. Love it. Well, hopefully you had fun with me today. We got to learn something new about how those foilet panels work with the stencil. And Whitney did say that I do have to get off of the live. I blamed it on you, Whitney.
Good.
No, we've got so much to do, but I am super excited to see all of you who are going to be converging on Des Moines here pretty soon, and super excited to spend the weekend together. And for those of you that are not coming, then I'm super excited to see you next week and spill a little tea about what we have coming. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget, we will not be live on Thursday, so we'll see you again next week, Tuesday. Bye-bye.